This session was recorded live on Facebook.
So the next question is, was the Bible written through automatic writing? So I've talked quite a bit in previous sessions about what automatic writing is and about the fact that that was the mechanism used by James Paget to receive messages from Jesus and other very high celestials, many of whom were known on earth, as well as friends, relatives, and business associates of Paget, all of whom came together from their disparate times in history to say the same thing, give the same message about divine love, which is why it's so great to get the same message coming through from so many different souls, corroborating that through a single medium. The Bible is not that way. First of all, what Christians refer to as the Old Testament was taken from what's called the Tanakh, which are the early Jewish teachings, and those were taken from much, much, much older texts, prehistorical, and from our perspective, like we have lost the earliest texts, even on which the Tanakh was based. So nobody really has a sense, at least no mortal soul has a sense of the actual origins of the original biblical teachings that came through the Tanakh and became the Old Testament. And then even the New Testament teachings where we were learning from Jesus, the Christ, about divine love, most of that was lost because Jesus's disciples who walked with him while he was mortal expected him to come back and rule the earth, and he only came back briefly in spirit form and, visible spirit form, I should say. And then he left again. So they didn't write things down right away. So by the time things were written down, it was word of mouth. It was, some of it was second, third person and so on. And then down the line, the stories got passed along as stories do in the storytelling tradition and sometimes written down. But it was probably 150 years after Jesus' death. By that time, moral teachings were preserved much better than the divine love teachings that were actually Jesus' original mission. So by the time we get to the monks who were painstakingly copying texts quite accurately, by that time, these texts had come through many different ways. So we're not going to say that none of them came through by automatic writing. There may very well have been some messages that came through partially that way from some people who had some mediumistic ability and so on and so forth. But basically, the Bible has been cobbled together from way too many different souls over time. And then when you add the translations, even if they're pristine, when you have one word that can mean 5 different things in that language alone, and then you're translating it into 3 or 4 or 5 other languages from that point, trying to get a perfect version is really hard. Which again, keep beating this drum why I'm so passionate about the Paget messages.